What's up, everybody? It is a Monday edition of Orange and Blue Today. Cecil, Lammey, and Andrew Mason. Mace, of course, on assignment as he's traveling with your Denver Broncos. And listen, today was not a good day for me. I'm very discouraged and disappointed. Like I said on Orange and Blue postgame live last night, this Broncos team needed to play better, and they just did not. Losing to the Baltimore Ravens 41-10. It hurts. But let's get over it and let's move on to Kansas City. We will do that. But first, got to hear from our man, Mace. Mace, what were your thoughts on this Ravens-Broncos game?
Well, thanks, Cease. And the ray of sunshine in a cloudy aftermath of the Broncos' loss to Baltimore on Sunday was, of course, the re-signing of Jonathan Cooper to a 4-year contract extension. He is the third member of the 2021 draft class to get a contract extension of at least 4 years following Pat Surtain and Quinn Miners. Why is that significant? It's real simple. It's significant because you only had 3 such players in 8 drafts, 2013 through 2020, who got 4+ year extensions after their rookie contracts. Justin Simmons, Garett, Bolles, and Courtland Sutton. Getting that length of extension, that shows that you're a core part of the team going forward. And the Broncos had few of those coming out of John Elway's last 8 drafts as general manager and president of football operations. Well, George Paton got 3 of them in his first draft. For those who are a bit hard on George Paton, yes, the Russell Wilson trade was a miss, but in terms of the normal operation of a general manager going through the draft and develop process, the 1 year of his first 3 that he had a full draft class, it's working out pretty well so far with Surtain, Miners, and Cooper all locked up. But with Jonathan Cooper, it's not just about that in terms of team building. It's also the type of player he is and the type of presence he is in the locker room. And that is something to which Zach Allen alluded when he was asked about Jonathan Cooper's new contract during a conference call today.
Obviously, a guy like Coop, we value so highly for what he does, both in the pass and the run game. And he really is truly like the ultimate team player, willing to do whatever helps. You see him on special teams too. So it's awesome to see guys like that get rewarded. And I think, it sends a really good message around the locker room, showing guys, if you do it the right way, you'll get rewarded. And, we have a really good culture here. So we have a lot of guys like that.
Yeah. A lot of guys like that. Now, that, too, is also a really good sign that it's not just Jonathan Cooper. It's a locker room full of players who have high football character. It's a good bunch. Probably as good an overall locker room in terms of personalities that fit together and quality human beings as I've ever been around. So it doesn't mean you're going to win a lot of football games, but you start at a higher place if you've got a locker room filled with character. Now, that being said, to go back to Sunday for a second, there are things this Broncos team is missing. That's part of why he felt he had to be audacious in going for it on 4th down so often, especially in the first half on Sunday. And it's part of why Sean Payton, at the kind of midpoint of the season, officially they hit the midpoint at halftime Sunday in Baltimore, why he knows this team has to take care of business in things like turnover margin, special teams, and on the ground, because they don't have the dynamic elements that maybe they hope to have in the future. Here's what he said about that.
We're -1 right now in the turnover battle. If we're having that discussion towards the end of the season, that's not going to be good. So that it has to be something in our favor. And so I start with those 2 things off the top of my head, and understanding our margin for error relative to the giveaway takeaway ratio. Now, when your program is further along and you get to a spot, we did this study the other day. It was pretty interesting. You look at the elite teams in our history. Who are the best teams at surviving minus turnovers? And one of the Broncos, I think the 15 Broncos team was one of the teams listed. The certainly 22 Chiefs, these teams, they won 80% of their games when they were minus in the giveaway takeaway. And so obviously their margin for error was much different. And so I think of the rushing game, both offensively and defensively. I think certainly our return units in the kicking game with Marvin and what we're trying to do from a punt return standpoint, and then us being able to defend the run. If we're having problems defending the run or we're having problems and not having the ability to slow the game down, play it on our terms, I think it's going to be challenging for us to accomplish our goals.
I think you kind of put it out there right there. This team isn't at a point in its development where it can afford to be lacking in fundamental things like turnover margin. And of course, you came out last week against Carolina, early fumble, little Jordan Humphrey. A week later, early interception. It goes off of Lil Jordan Humphrey's hands. He took responsibility for that, but Broncos have started in a bad place, in part because of a play involving Lil Jordan Humphrey, who unfortunately doesn't have the receiving productivity to justify being out there despite those mistakes. To his credit, Humphrey took responsibility and faced the music in the locker room after Sunday's game.
Yeah, it was a little rollout, try to go make a play. Obviously didn't, and that's on me. I know better. I got to put two hands to the ball, and you know what I mean? We just got to move past that and just move forward. This next week, it was a mistake on me, so yeah.
Now, at some point, Lil Jordan Humphrey probably will not be playing as much because Josh Reynolds will be back in the lineup, and that also goes to another thing. At the trade deadline, of course, the Broncos did part ways with Baron Browning today. A 6th-round pick was as much as you were going to get for him on the market. Realistically, you weren't getting a 4th, you weren't getting a 5th. He's a backup player, injury-prone, only has half a season left on his contract. The value for Baron Browning was not going to be that high. Frankly, a round 6 pick is as good as you were going to get. But for those thinking that, I know, Cecil, you are in favor of buy. Based on what Sean Payton said, I wouldn't get your hopes up.
The next 24 hours for me will be just like last Monday or the following Monday or the Monday prior. It's going to be, putting to bed the game we just played and then the preparation beginning on Kansas City. And in the meantime, George and his staff will, I'm sure they'll get, there's always these last minute calls either way. George will keep me abreast. He'll walk in here if he thinks it's something significant. But honestly, the focus is on the guys in this building right here. Superman's not walking in. My brother's the worst at this. You ready? He's the worst at free agency, and he's the worst at the trade deadline. And he just wants to see action. And then right after the action takes place, he never goes back and reflects and says, well, that was a bad signing or that was a bad trade. But, and I say that, I kid him. But I think that, there's so much more that goes into it relative to whether you're trading a player or acquiring a player. Contracts go into it, vision goes into it, locker room goes in. There's a lot of details that go into that. And yeah, so, to answer your question fairly, I'm sitting here with the numbers right now with Kansas City, depth chart, injury report, scouting report, kind of finished up on Baltimore. Our players are in meetings on Baltimore, and that's where we're at.
The Sean Payton's brother not sound like a lot of fans out there, probably may even sound like you. And as I throw it back to you, Cecil, maybe Sean Payton's brother sounds a little bit like you, although I think you've been a little bit more prudent in how you've attacked this trade deadline and what you're expecting from it than perhaps a lot of people out there who want to go for the gusto with what I think is a team that realistically should have as its goal getting to the playoffs, getting its first winning season in 8 years, and nothing really beyond that. Cease, you take it from here.
All right. Well, thanks, Mace. The voice of reason, Andrew Mason. I'm emotional and opinionated, so I'll continue to be that way. Broncos need to get a little better this time around against Kansas City. We'll be out there at Broncos Park, powered by Common Spirit, to see how they look on the practice field and also how are they acting in the locker room. Lots of things to go on here in a big week. Kansas City week coming up. Chiefs week. You better get ready. You better stay tuned, of course, right here to Orange and Blue Today. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We certainly appreciate the support as we continue to grow our YouTube channel. So like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid. I'm Cecil Lammey for Andrew Mason saying, thanks for watching, everyone. Stay tuned and stay frosty.